everyone, Cheryl, and look who's come to my kitchen, Helen Goh. She is the author of Baking and the Meaning of Life. It's kind of baking, memoir, storytelling.
Psychology, a bit of pop psychology.
And today we're making Matilda's tribute cake. And there's a little story around a lot of the recipes, isn't there?
The book in general talks about the kind of celebrate, how we use cake to celebrate and mark important occasions.
It is really such a beautiful cake. Look at it here. It's layers of cake, meringue, cream and fruit. Anyway, stay with us because Helen is going to make that.
So we're going to make the sponge cake layer.
Okay.
And then, as you said, the meringue that goes on top before it goes into the oven. It's just a regular butter cake that's creamed.
Yeah.
And this butter is just the perfect temperature. The whole thing about baking is the temperature has to be right. If you try and cream butter when it's when it's too soft, it's not going to aerate.
Yeah.
If it's too hard, it's just not going to to cream.
So
I like to put the zest in with the creaming of the butter and sugar because it just releases, you know, when it creams together, it releases all the oils from the lemon zest. You don't want it exactly light and fluffy, you want it creamy.
Right, okay.
So usually about 2 minutes.
Okay.
We're going to add the egg yolks to it.
Yes.
So that gives the sponge richness.
Yes.
But we're going to save the egg whites for the meringue.
Okay.
So there's no wastage here.
There are recipes where you can throw everything in and give it a stir.
There are. Yes, there's actually a couple in my book. Then we've got the dry ingredients, which is your flour, your baking powder, your salt, and then coconut.
Okay.
Okay, it's good to sift it. I usually do sift it, but we don't have to. In fact, if you've got a whisk. So we are going to alternate. This is the milk, 100 mils of milk, some vanilla.
And a little tip that I do know about baking is don't overmix.
Yes,
because then you get a dense cake, don't you?
That's right, because you're working then the gluten in the flour, and we're not making bread. It's very slow now.
Yeah.
I'm going to put in a bit of flour. Now, if you can see, it's not fully mixed.
No.
So I'm just going to take it off now and do the rest of it by hand.
We've got our tins. They're lined, right? Ideally, you want a springform tin, but I only had one springform and one not.
And it still works?
It still works.
And it looks like a very large tin, but that's because the cake is quite tall.
So, Helen, how did you come to baking?
You know, I really just love cooking of all sorts, but when I first started cooking, I was pretty unconfident, and baking just seemed like, you know, like there were proper steps to follow, and I thought, well, if I follow the steps, I'll be able to do it.
You trained as a psychologist, which led you to be a baker.
It was just one of those life turns.
Is that a career path?
It could be. It has been for me. Well, I really loved psychology, and I did that. I did a kind of science degree with a major in psychology.
Right.
And then I wanted to do a postgraduate in psychology, but the faculty said to me, you're too young, you need to get some life experience. So I went off and I got a job in a pharmaceutical company. And part of my job was to talk to doctors about new drugs. And I found that actually, if I provide lunch, all the doctors would want to come to my little talk about the drugs. And over time, I thought, I'm actually more interested in what we're serving for lunch than the drugs.
Yeah, wow.
The layer you can see is quite thin.
What we're going to do is we're going to put meringue on the raw cake, which is, I mean, you know, I'd never even heard of that.
Well, it's quite counterintuitive because normally you want the cake to bake with that heat.
Yeah.
But actually the meringue kind of insulates the cake a bit so it doesn't dry out. Because it's such a thin layer as well, it doesn't need such a long time in the oven.
Now we're going to put these aside and we're going to make the meringue.
Some cake batter doesn't hold, like a sponge when you've spent a lot of time whipping air into it. You have to bake it straight away, but this is not one of them.
Okay.
So we're going to make a meringue.
Yeah.
I've already weighed it out. So egg whites. And the key to meringue is adding the sugar very gradually. Because if you add the sugar, it's going to weigh down the egg whites and it's not going to whip. A bit of acid just gives it, it stabilizes the meringue so it doesn't break down. So once it goes from clear to white and opaque, then you can start adding the sugar.
I mean, doesn't that look great? Oh, I could eat that raw with a spoon.
Quite sexy.
Oh, it's beautiful.
175.
I mean, I can see how this is so
Addictive,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, yeah.
This cake is fairly kind of loose, so we don't
Yeah.
need to be too fastidious with it. In fact, I
Okay.
like it looking quite wild.
And do you get inspired by reading cookbooks like I do? Do you?
Oh, totally. I read them
totally.
like they're novels.
Same.
I take them to
same,
bed.
every night.
That's my
Yes,
bedtime reading.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. And that's the
Cooking a
top
little bit.
layer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and then
Okay.
now in the oven.
In the oven to be baked. What we're doing now is the final stage, the assembly.
The fruit.
I want to talk about where did you formally train to decorate cakes?
No.
How did we get here?
No, I think decorating cakes, for me, I have this ethos that I work towards, which
Right.
is called reassuringly homemade. I write for the newspaper. It's got to be, the paper comes out on Saturday, they need to be able to make it on Sunday. I mean, it's great to have a project like a showstopper, but I think it's really wonderful to have a cake that you can just make if people are coming round. So it's
Right.
more about what the cake enables you to do.
Because this is,
Great.
it's not something I would have tackled before.
Why? It
It's
looks
a-
too hard? Or?
It looked too hard, yes. Yeah.
But it's not, right?
It's not. It's been
just,
very,
you just
very
do it
simple.
step by step.
Yeah, it's been very, very simple.
Yeah.
And I think it's a showstopper.
I wanted the green and gold because it was inspired by the wind of the Matildas.
The Matildas, yeah.
And just that green and gold, it was just such an inspiring moment.
Yeah.
But actually, berries are really wonderful in it
Right,
too.
yeah.
Berries in season.
Yeah.
You can actually use whatever fruit you like, but I think a fruit with a bit of acidity.
Well, I guess, yeah. And I guess because it's meringue, you can kind of mimic the toppings that you put over a meringue,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're actually dressing it. Is that what we call it?
Exactly. We're finishing it off.
Finishing it,
yeah.
right. Can we make the cake the day before? and
Absolutely. Yeah.
Give me a little bit of, because for some people, like myself, this might be too much to do in the one day.
Well, I think the idea is that you do that in stages, and
Oh,
you
you
leave
do?
this to the last minute.
Yes,
when
the
you-
fruit has to go to the last minute.
It
Yeah,
does.
of course.
You don't want mushy fruit. The meringue actually goes on top of the batter.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're having to cook it first and then make the meringue. It
was
all just
so
kind of cooks
simple.
together.
And I kept thinking it's not going to work out because
Oh,
the cake's
why?
not going to cook.
Quite a thin layer as well, because
Yes.
it's all about the textures. You've got the spongy, the
Yes.
kind of crackly meringue, the soft acidic fruits,
Right.
and then that cream as
Right,
well. So it's
yeah.
all about the textural contrast.
It's just going to be so beautiful.
Pop that on, and we want to whisk it so that it's just kind of softly whipped. I use the term soft waves. When
Soft
you can
waves.
See soft waves.
Okay.
We've made the two cakes.
Mm-hmm.
And we want one for the bottom. Doesn't matter which one's on top and which one's on the bottom. I like the top to look a bit craggier.
Yes.
I quite like something that doesn't look so
So
perfect.
impressive. Look,
And
I
then
just
you
can't
just-
believe that it turned out.
Why?
Well, I don't know. Cake
have to trust
with
the
meringue.
process.
I know. It's a great book because it all works.
Oh.
Look how beautiful it is.
So
See,
you just-
cakes are beautiful.
Cakes are happiness.
Yeah, they are. They are. Actually, I once met a lady that said that cakes are ugly, and I thought,
Really?
oh, what happened in your life?
What
to make you
ugly?
feel
Maybe
that-
ugly
Yeah.
delicious.
Maybe ugly delicious.
And the whole messiness is just part of the charm. So we want to embrace that. And let it drip down the sides. It just makes it
And
luscious.
so we've got the green and gold colours.
Green and
right?
gold. And at this point, you want just a bit more cream so that the sponge that sits on top doesn't slide off.
Okay. Oh, that's just kind of
Yeah.
like glue. Isn't
Okay.
it beautiful?
So it's soft, the textures are all there. You could just imagine cutting into it and
Oh,
just,
I
yeah.
can't wait until we cut into it.
It just feels like a cloud.
Yeah, it does. Light and fluffy.
When it sits a little, the whole thing kind of melts together.
Right. It's
Yeah.
time to serve. Whoa,
The
whoa, whoa,
moment
whoa.
of truth.
Oh, wow. Drum roll. Oh, yum. Thank you so much for joining us today. Go get it. It's fantastic.